This is the Garrett AT Gold metal detector. It is ideally designed for prospecting in all types of terrain and in all environments. The AT Gold includes manual and automatic ground balance to optimize its performance in highly mineralized ground, where gold is most often found. The AT Gold also has a unique feature called ground balance window, which effectively allows you to spread the ground balance range. This can help minimize the effect of localized ground variations while maintaining effective target detection. This detector's advanced audio characteristics provide fast recovery speed, which is important for separating adjacent targets and in areas where good targets may be scattered amongst iron trash. It has a small double D search coil. Its 5x8 size is ideal for working through tight spaces, through rocks, and in trashy areas. It's also very sensitive on small pieces of gold. The AT Gold is a true all-metal motion mode detector. It operates at a high frequency of 18 kHz, which is optimized for gold prospecting. The all-metal mode is preferred for prospecting because it provides the greatest possible depth and sensitivity. The AT Gold also includes 2 discrimination modes, making it a versatile coin and relic hunting machine as well. The AT Gold features high-resolution iron discrimination. You have settings from 0 to 40, so you can set your iron discrim level at whatever you desire to help separate good targets from bad. In the all-metal mode, the AT Gold has an exclusive Garrett feature where you can spot check iron. This all-metal iron audio, as it's called, is not available on any other detector when it's running in a true all-metal mode. So this is a very unique and beneficial feature for gold prospectors. The AT Gold is fully waterproof to 10 feet or 3 meters. This can be very handy when you're hunting in and around a body of water, including the rivers or streams where gold is often found. If you were to slip and drop your detector, or even wade into a deeper pool of water, you can rest assured that this detector is fully waterproofed. The AT Gold also includes adjustable threshold, that constant background hum that helps prospectors better hear desirable targets. The Target ID cursor on the LCD's upper scale helps identify targets, and the digital Target ID below provides an even more specific value to identify targets more precisely. The depth indicator displays the depth of a coin-sized target in increments of 2 inches or 5 centimeters. The AT Gold shaft can be adjusted for different heights and includes cam locks on the shaft for added stability. This detector is lightweight and comes complete with a set of headphones which can be used in almost all hunting environments, including wading into bodies of water. If you're going to completely submerge the headset, there are optional headphones available from Garrett which are completely waterproof. There's also a full array of accessory search coils available for the AT Gold, including a larger 8.5 by 11 inch double D coil, 2 different size concentric search coils, and even a 4.5 inch super sniper coil for tiny targets and for getting into tight areas. In short, the AT Gold's advanced features are designed for the serious gold prospector, but these same features and capabilities will also make this detector very appealing to both coin hunters and relic hunters. This instructional video will acquaint you with the basic features of the Garrett AT Gold and offer instructions on how to use this detector with success in the field. Assembly of your new AT Gold is very simple. First, select the upper and lower stem assembly. Holding it in front of you, select the lower cam lock, the one closest to the stem assembly. Twist the lower cam lock clockwise to loosen it. Then, loosen the upper cam lock by twisting it counterclockwise. Depress the spring clips to extend the shaft. Next, press the 2 mounting washers firmly into place in the openings at the base of the lower stem. Slide the search coil onto the stem and insert the threaded bolt through the holes on the lower stem and search coil. Hand tighten the search coil assembly with the wing nut. Loosen and remove the upper camlock collar. Slide it over the S-stem spring clips. Next, depress the spring clip in the S-stem and insert the control housing's S-stem through the upper camlock into the upper stem. It is important to engage the spring clip into the first stem opening in order to maintain battery compartment access. Hand tighten the camlock collar, being careful not to over-tighten. Depress the spring clip in the lower stem and adjust to the most comfortable operating length. Then, hand tighten the lower stem camlock collar. Wrap the cable snugly around the stem with the first turn of the cable going over the stem. Insert the search coil connector into the 4-pin connector on the left side of the control housing. Notice the pin orientation of the connector before attempting to insert it. It's important to fully insert the connector to ensure proper connecting and sealing. Then thread the collar into place until it is hand tight. If the O-ring is properly seated, the connector's collar can be easily tightened. If this collar is difficult to turn, the O-ring has not seated properly. The AT Gold's headphones connect on the right side of the control housing. Notice that this is a 2-pin connector which also must be aligned properly. Again, push the connector fully into place before tightening the collar. Secure the headphone cable under the arm cuff by pressing it into the headphone cable clip. To power on the AT Gold, press the power button in the bottom left corner. To turn off the detector, press and hold this button for 1 second until the detector makes a second beep. When you have changed detector settings and wish to restore the AT Gold to its factory settings, press and hold the power button for 5 seconds, waiting until the detector produces a fast double beep. All metal items encountered by the AT Gold are referred to as targets. Garrett's exclusive Target ID technology provides 2 indicator scales to help identify targets. The lower scale is the AT Gold's discrimination pattern setting. These dark segments on the lower scale indicate what targets your detector will sound on. And, when it sounds, a single segment will appear on this upper scale to show what you have found. The Target ID legend just above will then help you to identify the target. Ferrous, or iron, targets will indicate on the left side. Non-ferrous targets that are thin or that have low conductivity will indicate in the middle. Thick or high conductivity targets, such as thick silver, will indicate toward the right. There are 20 upper scale graphic segments for Target ID. When the AT Gold is switched into its Discrim 2 mode, notice that some of the lower scale segments disappear. The AT Gold will now only sound on targets represented by the remaining segments. But you will still see a Target ID cursor for every metallic target you find, including your discriminated targets. The AT Gold's digital Target ID system also provides a specific target value to help identify targets more precisely. Targets are identified on the LCD by number, with items with lower numbers being the most ferrous. The most conductive targets, such as thick silver, register toward the high end of the scale. The digital Target ID is a more precise version of the Target ID cursor seen in the upper scale. Notice as I pass this gold nugget in front of the search coil. The digital Target ID for this nugget reads between 51 and 53. Each Target ID cursor above it has a width of 5 digital points, so you notice that the Target ID cursor is under the number 50 when the digital Target ID reads 51 or 53. This system, used in conjunction with the audio target signals, provides you with more information. It is important to understand that the AT Gold's detection depth can exceed target ID depth. In other words, you will sometimes hear faint, deeper targets that do not provide any target ID. Target values can vary based upon the orientation of the target in the ground, the amount of ground mineralization, and other factors. It is important to practice in the field to learn how these factors affect target ID. This depth scale will indicate how deeply you'll have to dig to recover any coin-sized target that you find. Your AT Gold has 8 settings for sensitivity. Use higher sensitivity settings for very small or very deep targets. Use lower sensitivity levels in locations where the detector is behaving erratically. Several factors can cause your detector to appear to behave erratically. Outside electrical interference, highly mineralized soil, excessive metallic trash, or the presence of other metal detectors. Often these interferences can be resolved with proper ground balance, discrimination, or by changing frequencies without having to reduce sensitivity. The AT Gold is capable of operating at 4 slightly different frequencies in order to minimize the interference from electrical sources, such as power lines, or from other metal detectors. Sometimes if you're hunting in a gold patch, you may want to get in real close proximity to one of your other hunting buddies. With some machines, you're not able to do that real well because of electrical interference or interference from another machine. But with the AT Gold, you can overcome that with the frequency adjust. In this case, we're getting a lot of feedback from each other. I simply hit the frequency button and find a frequency where it calms down. There's 4 adjustable frequencies to select from. And now we're able to hunt in close proximity. It's important to be properly ground balanced when you're metal detecting, especially when you're prospecting. A lot of this ground has a lot of high mineralization in it. So as I get into this area, I want to be sure that I'm properly ground balanced. First, I'm going to do so automatically. I'm simply going to push the ground balance button and hold it while I bob the coil up and down an inch or 2 above the ground and listen to the response. When I've got it to a very quiet or near quiet mode, now I can hunt with stable operation and pick up a good target, but not get all the response from the ground. The AT Gold can also be manually ground balanced, and if you want to go with that option, you simply press the ground balance button and release it until you see the ground balance sign come up on the LCD, and then use the plus or minus buttons here as you're bouncing it up and down to run it up until I get rid of that sound, and run it back down to where I just start to pick up a little bit of interference and then just lose it. And if I'm happy with that setting, I can click the button again and I'm ready to start hunting. The AT Gold's ground balance window is a powerful feature for overcoming various ground variations or anomalies. In the average hunting environment most people will encounter, the ground balance window's factory default setting of 2 will not need to be changed at all. Now, to demonstrate where ground balance window really comes into play, I'll go through several demonstrations here in our Garrett test lanes. The ground balance window only applies to the all metal mode. So to change the window settings, I use the ground balance push button and the plus or minus iron disc push buttons. After you change the window setting, push the ground balance button again to begin operation. Now this test lane contains highly mineralized soil. You can hear it react. So when I ground balance the AT Gold, I have a reading of 85 on there now. One important thing to note about ground balancing, when you ground balance the detector in mineralized soil like this, it's very important that you ground balance at the search height, at the level you're going to sweep the coil above the ground. In neutral ground, there's not much penalty to this. In this hot ground where it's highly mineralized, I want to balance my coil as close to the ground as possible because that's where I'll be sweeping the coil, right above or right on the ground. My reading is 85 when I ground balanced. Now if I stood here and ground balanced the coil several inches above the ground, I might get a slightly different reading in different terrains. So in this case, it's always going to get your best results when you got the coil ground balanced at the level where you're going to sweep it. In this case, I'm getting right down on the ground. And I've got a reading of 85 on my ground balance. Now for this demonstration, we've added another pocket of soil here that's a different color. Both of these soils are very highly mineralized. The difference is the concentration, the level of concentration of the minerals here. But we've used a different color soil just so it stands out and you can see the variance. Of course, when you're out in the field, you're not going to have this luxury. So when the soil is relatively flat and it's the same color, you're not going to be able to see when you've passed over different pockets of mineralization. But for this test, this will make it easier to determine where the different patch of mineralization concentration is. So to test these ground anomalies that we've created here, I'm going to start with a ground balance window setting of 0. So I'm going to go into my ground balance window and drop it down to 0 from the factory default that was 2. So now I'm at 0 and I'm running like any other VLF detector that's in an all metal mode right now. Now as I move the coil over these different pockets of mineral concentration, listen to the response. I've got the threshold up a little bit so you can hear the audio without the headphones, but you can hear a response from this different pocket of soil concentration. Now I'll use the ground balance window and I'm going to move my setting to 1 and then go back over this again. I'm only hearing just a very slight response. So if I want to go ahead and move it up to 2 on my ground balance window and go across it again, that's gone. I'm not picking up any response at all as I go across these two different areas of concentration. So I'm in highly mineralized ground and I'm effectively hunting with the use of the ground balance window, and I haven't had to touch sensitivity at all. I've got it right where I started out. Now here's a second demonstration in our mineralized soil lanes here. The contour of the ground in which you're hunting can actually create variations or anomalies. So to illustrate this, we've dug a little trench here. We're going over highly mineralized soil in this lane, and again, we're in the all metal mode. Sharp, uneven changes in the ground's contour, they can create more pronounced and amplified effects due to how mineral